Final Fantasy XV is one of my favorite video games. Final Fantasy XV is a game that has garnered so much praise and criticism since its release that it's hard to make heads or tails of what it really is. It's hard to get a consensus from the community, and you won't really get a full grasp on what it actually is until you play it. Some people love it, some people hate it. Most don't even remember what the game was. It's been 7 years since the game was released, and with nearly 7 years of playing this game over 10 times, watching a 10-episode anime, reading an alternate novel ending, a really bad movie, an online multiplayer, multiple trailers that have actual importance to the story and not seen in-game, and a side-scrolling hack-and-slash prequel game, I can confidently say Final Fantasy XV is good. Like, really good. And even with a well-documented and troubled development history, a somewhat shallow gameplay system, a disconnected story, and thousands of other issues you could throw at it, it's understandable why some would want to stay clear of it. So why do I say it's one of my favorite games? Despite its shortcomings, I just can't help but love it. Final Fantasy XV has been able to captivate me with its immersive open-world environments and lovable characters since I first played it. I think the developers at Square had a really good idea of crafting a vast and visually stunning game world, filled with diverse landscapes, interesting characters, and a rich history to explore. The level design is open and broad, offering players a sense of freedom and discovery as they navigate through the various regions and uncover different weapons or fight bosses with secret areas and dungeons that aren't even mentioned and can be entirely missed. Although it can seem janky and painfully simple, the combat system seamlessly blends real-time action with deceptively strategic elements that may not be apparent your first time through. It allows players to engage in fast-paced battles while also requiring thoughtful tactics to win. In the greater context of the gaming world, these features contribute to an immersive gaming experience that keeps me invested in the journey of our favorite boy band in the quest to find sick weapons, challenge God, and maybe go save the world or something. Or you can just go fuck off with chocobos. I think the developers aim to create a game that would redefine the Final Fantasy series into a new and engaging format that they've been trying to do since Final Fantasy XII. A new kind of Final Fantasy that could be replicated and capture the open world feel of the early games with a modern HD style. That clearly wasn't the case with this game, and wouldn't be seen until the most recent entries in the series. This is seen in 16 and 7 Remake, with a push for smaller, zone-like areas, inspired by Dragon Quest, and a tighter, more fluid combat system that I would say is a blend of FF12 and FF15, which I think is the future for the series. But we see its beginnings right here in FF15. FF15 is great. It's a testament to the power of captivating gameplay, immersive world building, and characters that resonate deeply. While I acknowledge the game's inherent flaws, I find that my personal connection to the experience outweighs a lot of those negative parts. FF15 has managed to create a lasting impact that goes beyond its initial release, and it's a testament to the artistry of the developers at Square. But it would be careless of me if I didn't mention the game's shortcomings, and there are a lot of them. For one, the media surrounding the title. Now about the supplementary media outside of the game, I personally believe that it adds depth and richness to the overall experience. While it can seem annoying to go out of your way to enjoy the full story, I think that the inclusion of additional lore and world-building materials helps to create a more immersive and expansive universe. I understand why some players may view this reliance on external media as a negative aspect, and I'm not going to argue with it. It's completely reasonable why someone would not want to go out of their way to experience the whole story. It creates a sense of incompleteness for those who choose not to engage with the DLC or novel endings, leaving them feeling disconnected from certain aspects of the game's world and story. But by putting in the time to experience all of it, I think you can gain a deeper understanding of the game's characters, lore, backstory, enhancing the enjoyment of the game and all. And even still, just the availability of supplementary media outside of the game allows for ongoing engagement with the game even after completing the main storyline. This is how it was after I finished the game for the first time. I wanted more of it, and there it was. After completing the game for the first time, I find myself yearning for more. I crave the opportunity to dive deeper into the rich and expansive world that was Final Fantasy XV. The inclusion of additional lore and world-building materials enhanced the gameplay experience for me. I appreciate the attempt the developers were trying to go for in enhancing the story. It showed a commitment the developers had after the launch to create a rich and immersive world for players to explore. However, I can't help but feel like these supplementary materials could have been better integrated into the game itself. I wish that I could have seen each DLC as part of the game, or some of the trailers that give greater context to some of the more obscure aspects of the story integrated into the game. And speaking about the story, the game's pacing is uneven, leading to moments where important plot developments are rushed or poorly explained. This sometimes left me felt disconnected from the overall narrative. Final Fantasy XV attempts to balance its expansive open-world exploration with the progression of its main storyline, but this balance isn't always achieved seamlessly. At times, the game shifts abruptly from leisurely exploration and character interactions to major plot points that unfold rapidly. These shifts can be disorienting, as players might not have enough time to absorb the significance of one event before being thrust into the next. It really diluted the impact of pivotal moments, as they don't receive the necessary build-up and emotional resonance. Conversely, some sections of the game feel drawn out, with an emphasis focused on side quests and open-world activities that can detract from the urgency of the main narrative. The uneven pacing also affects the character development and relations. Players may find themselves suddenly faced with moments of high emotion or tension between characters without sufficient build-up. This can hinder the player's ability to connect with these moments on a deeper level, as they haven't had the chance to fully invest in the characters' journeys yet. Moreover, rushed explanations or inefficient context around certain plot elements left me puzzled or disconnected. Important details might have been glossed over or relegated to the supplementary materials, such as the Kingsglaive film or the Brotherhood anime series. As a result, players who haven't or won't engage in these materials might struggle to grasp the full significance of character motivations, world building, and political dynamics. In essence, the inconsistent pacing compromises the overall cohesiveness of Final Fantasy XV's narrative. It makes it challenging for players to engage deeply with the story and characters, leaving them with a sense of detachment during crucial moments. A more balanced pacing approach that allowed for proper build-up, emotional investment, and cohesive explanations could have enhanced the storytelling experience and strengthened the player's connection to the world of EOS. Over the course of the campaign, we see a fluctuation in the narrative's tone and themes. The journey begins with a lighthearted and adventurous atmosphere, focusing on the road trip of Princess Noxus and his friends as they traverse the world of EOS. This phase is characterized by banter, humor, and a sense of camaraderie among the characters. However, as the story unfolds, there's a noticeable shift towards a more serious and somber themes. The plot delves into complex political intrigue, themes of betrayal, and the looming threat of the Star Scourge, an ancient malevolent force that endangers the world. These darker elements introduce a sense of urgency and intensity to the narrative. The issue with this fluctuating tone lies in its execution. Players who initially enjoy the carefree interactions and lighthearted moments might find this abrupt transition to darker themes disorienting. Conversely, those invested in the more epic and serious aspects might feel like the earlier levity undermines the gravity of the impending crisis. This inconsistency in tone creates a disjointed storytelling experience. While variations in tone can enrich the narrative by adding depth, sudden shifts without proper transitions can disrupt the flow of the story. In the context of Final Fantasy XV, the fluctuating tone contributes to the challenge of maintaining a seamless narrative, especially as the game grapples with balancing its contrasting elements. But the aspect of the game that suffers the most from the story's chronic fragmentation is its underdeveloped villain, Arden Azunia. Now, I love Arden, but man does he underdeliver at some parts of the game. The lack of a comprehensive exploration into Arden's character, motivation, and backstory becomes gnarringly evident due to the scattered nature of the story, and it really takes a hit out of the narrative. Key information about Arden is spread across various media again, including the game Kingsglaive and the DLC. Arden is a central figure in the conflict of Final Fantasy XV, serving as the main antagonist, who orchestrates many of the events driving the plot. However, his actions and motives remain shrouded in mystery within the main game. Players are left to piece together fragments of information, leading to fragmented understanding of his character. While Arden is intriguing and enigmatic, his character suffers from a lack of sufficient backstory and motivations, which can leave players feeling unsatisfied with his role in the narrative. Arden's background and history are only partially explored within the main game, and much of his character development is left for players to piece together through other context. This lack of concrete information about his past and motivation can lead to confusion and frustration, especially since Arden plays a crucial role in driving the story's conflict. Players are left wondering about the reasons behind his manipulation and his desires to plunge the world into chaos. Without a clear understanding of his goals and reasoning, Arden's actions appear arbitrary, and players might struggle to empathize with him as a multi-dimensional character. An underdeveloped villain like Arden can impact the overall narrative depth and player emotional engagement. A well-crafted antagonist with a compelling backstory, clear motivations, and understandable goals can create a more nuanced and engaging conflict. Players often connect with stories when they can understand the motives of both heroes and villains, making the stakes and clashes more meaningful. In the case of Final Fantasy XV, a deeper exploration of Arden's past motivations and his connections to the larger world could have added layers upon layers to the story. This would have allowed players to better comprehend his role and perhaps even sympathize with his actions, making the conflict more impactful and the resolution more satisfying. But Arden isn't the only one who suffers from this unsatisfying characterization. You guys remember Luna? Well, I sure don't. I don't think I would have remembered her name if it wasn't for how simple it was. Luna got shafted so hard in the story, and she feels more like a plot device than an actual character. A motivation for Noctis and crew to get from point A to point B, which is fine I guess if they didn't want her to be too important to the story. But then again, she is Noctis' bride. I wish she had something more direct to do with our main cast before she dies abruptly. But then again, I can understand not wanting to have a MacGuffin detract from the best parts of the game, camping with the boys. From the start, you can tell that the characters, especially the villains, outside of our quartet, aren't going to be well developed, and so Final Fantasy puts all of its marbles into one basket in order to play to its strengths. Final Fantasy XV's captivating narrative lies in the genuine and deeply resonating character dynamics within its main cast. As Prince Noctis and his loyal companions embark on a journey to reclaim their stolen kingdom, the camaraderie forms the emotional core that pulls players into the world. Through their shared histories, banter, and unspoken understandings, these characters go beyond just fiction to become friends you genuinely care about. Each member of the quartet possesses a unique personality and role. As their journey unfolds, so do their individual growth arcs, reflecting the power of loyalty, sacrifice, and growth. Their interactions are more than scripted dialogues. They evoke a sense of authenticity that make players feel like they're part of the Brotherhood. Through laughter, arguments, moments of vulnerability, Final Fantasy XV crafts a truly compelling bond, reminding us that it's not just about saving a kingdom, it's about sharing the journey with friends who become family.
Aww.
Now, I guess I wasn't too fair about Luna as a character, because much of her importance only lies in her relationship with Noctis. She doesn't really do anything that we see. She does, of course, do things in the story, it's just that we don't see them. What we do see is only hints and glimpses of something more. What we see more of is how she impacts Noctis throughout his journey. The relationship between Noctis and Luna in Final Fantasy XV carries profound thematic significance within the narrative that I don't see talked too much. Beyond just being a plot device, their engagement embodies themes of duty and sacrifice for the greater good. Noctis and Luna are willingly shouldering the burdens imposed by their roles from birth, showing the sacrifices required of them for the betterment of their world. As Noctis journeys to reclaim his kingdom, Luna's presence becomes a motivating force for his personal growth, and most predominantly seen with her death. The death of Luna shakes Noctis' world to its foundation, because like he said, all he wanted to do was protect her, no matter what. And with her death, he's now pushed to save the world, and for him to commit the ultimate sacrifice as well, all for the greater good. As a protagonist and crown prince of Lucius, Noctis possesses a complex blend of qualities. He's brooding and introspective, often burdened by the weight of his destiny. His reluctance to embrace his role as the true king is evident in his initial reserved nature and occasional detachment from his surroundings. It's almost as like in the beginning, he's just going with emotions. But despite this, he demonstrates genuine care for his friends and allies, often going to great lengths to ensure their safety and well-being. His evolution through the game sees him transforming from a sheltered young prince to a mature leader willing to make the ultimate sacrifice for the greater good. But again, it's the execution that suffers the most for his character arc. While the concept and potential for Noctis' character arc are strong and intriguing, again, the way it's presented or developed in the game might not fully live up to those who initially expected it to be better. The execution of Noctis' character arc has certain shortcomings that prevent it from being as impactful as it could have been. Not as bad as Arden or Luna, but it's still present. It's a common aspect of the modern Final Fantasy games, where concepts and intentions are strong for its characters, but the actual implementation doesn't quite measure up to those aspirations. While Noctis' character really shines is in his interactions with his group, where we really get to see a deeper and more valuable side of him. Ignis serves as Noctis' close confidant and strategic advisor. He's composed and refined, and the group's intellectual anchor. His stoicism is matched by his deep loyalty and his willingness to adapt to unexpected circumstances. It highlights his flexibility and resourcefulness. Noctis trusts Ignis implicitly, often confiding in him about his inner thoughts, doubts, and fears. Ignis' role as a strategist and his composed demeanor make him an ideal person for Noctis to share his concerns with. The trust he forms with him creates a safe place for Noctis to express his vulnerabilities without fear of judgment. Ignis provides Noctis with valuable guidance and advice, helping him navigate the challenges and decisions that arise during their journey. Ignis' analytical skills and intelligence complement Noctis' more introspective nature, making them a balanced team. This dynamic reinforces the idea that their relationship is built on mutual reliance and the understanding that they each bring out unique strengths to the group. As the mom of the group, Ignis is not just a tactical advisor, he's also providing emotional support for Noctis. In times of uncertainty or self-doubt, Ignis is there to offer reassurance and encouragement. This emotional connection adds depth to their relationship and showcases Ignis' commitment to Noctis' well-being beyond their strategic partnership. Gladiolus is Noctis' shield. Quite literally, that's what his name means. While the whole group is there to guide Noctis, Gladio explicitly assumes the role of protector and mentor. While Ignis' role is to keep Noctis' head on straight and guide him with his decisions, Gladio is there to toughen up Noctis for the challenge of being king. Despite being imposing and rugged, beneath the exterior lies a big softy and an unwavering dedication to Noctis' welfare. Gladiolus' demeanor conceals his genuine concern for Noctis' growth and acceptance of his responsibilities. Gladiolus' approach to mentoring is tough love. His unreserved honesty when Noctis is being a little shit and his willingness to express his apprehensions even when they lead to moments of tension underscore his true care for Noctis' overall well-being. Gladio is the big brother. His loyalty and protective nature serves as a cornerstone, contributing significantly to the formation of unbreakable bonds that define the profound relationships among the companions. These relationships, rooted in trust and camaraderie, echo the less talked about theme of the game, the theme of chosen family that runs through the narrative of Final Fantasy XV. Prompto is the annoying one. No, just kidding, Prompto is Noctis' friend. While he can seem like just comedy relief, I find that he is one of the deepest and best well-developed characters in the game, excluding any of the media outside of it. That would be Arden in this case. No, just the base game Prompto. While Ignis and Gladio are there to mentor him, Prompto's friendship brings a refreshing sense of normality and relatability to Noctis' life, grounding him in reality amidst the crazy events that surround their journey. As a prince of Lucius, Noctis' life has been far from ordinary, marked by responsibilities and expectations from his father and his people. Prompto's presence serves as a bridge to a more down-to-earth and relatable existence. With Prompto being just a normal guy, he's there to anchor Noctis into the real world while they're out there fighting world-shattering monsters and cryptic douchebags. They also resonate on a deeper level as two people weighed down by their own personal issues. Despite their differences in demeanor, Prompto and Noctis share an unspoken understanding. Prompto's insecurities and past struggles resonate with Noctis, who also grapples with his own internal conflicts. Noctis is thrust into a situation that he really has no say in, and wants nothing to do with, and he has to learn how to grapple with his fate. Prompto is an outcast, from his home and from the group. By all rights, he shouldn't be there, and he just is because he's Noctis' friend, for no other reason, and Prompto feels like he must prove himself to the others, that he's worthy of being alongside them. It sucks, and it's so heartbreaking seeing the funny guy facade crack as his insecurities start to show. They're able to bond over these insecurities and issues that Gladio or Ignis might not understand, and they're able to have these shared sense of vulnerabilities that allow them to connect on a deeper level, revealing facets of their personality that they might not show to others. Prompto's character arc involves confronting his insecurities and transforming into a more courageous and steadfast companion. Noctis' support and encouragement play a role in Prompto's development, showcasing the positive impact they have on each other. Noctis' acceptance of Prompto, despite any perceived differences, exemplifies his open-mindedness and kindness. Prompto's role as an equal member of the group, despite his past insecurities, emphasizes the theme of camaraderie and chosen family that defines their relationship. Despite any of Prompto's shortcomings, Noctis respects him for who he is and values his unique contributions to the group. This mutual respect forms the basis for their friendship, allowing them to support each other's growth and navigate the final challenges of the story together. Prompto is energetic and fun. His cheerful personality serves as a counterbalance to the seriousness of the journey. He's the comedy relief, but he's so much more. He can be kind of annoying too, though. He also implements one of, if not the best storytelling mechanics in the game. The implementation of Prompto taking photos throughout the journey is just genius. I can't help but get emotional towards the end of the game, where the characters look through all the photos they've taken across their journey, their shared experiences that you were there for, to give one to Noctis as he faces his final challenge. As you shift through the pictures, you relive the experience alongside the characters. The photo-taking mechanic serves as a narrative device that enhances the emotional impact. By visually capturing the characters' relationships, growth, and moments that define their journey, Prompto's photography adds layers of authenticity and depth to the overarching narrative. The distinct personalities of FF15's main casts create a well-realized and surprisingly deep group dynamic. Their interactions, whether it's Ignis telling you about a new recipe he found, Gladiolus freaking out over cup noodles, Prompto singing victory fanfare, or Noctis just being there, quietly listening to his friends, shape the tone of the journey and the emotional resonance of the narrative. It's the little things that really make them feel believable. It's their shared experiences that make the relationship feel authentic and relatable. In the end, it's the balance of these individual traits that form the foundation of FF15's remarkable character dynamics and the greatest achievements in its story. Now, as I said previously, FF15 was where I think Square was trying to go with the series, a way to capture the magic of the original games. I don't think it was just a ploy to jump on the open world hype train that plagued the 2010s. Well, that might have been part of it, but rather I think it was to capture those same feelings of an endless and expansive world that the original games were able to do even with their limited capabilities and hardware. Those 8-bit and low-poly worlds were something truly magical, and those moments when you first walk out of Midgar or journey through the Calm Lands were truly something special. And it's these same feelings I get when going through the world of EOS. The game blends gameplay and open world environments really well, creating an immersive experience that allows players to explore a vast and diverse landscape while engaging in dynamic, action-oriented combat. The game's open-world environment is big. While it doesn't exactly encourage players to explore the world, it's left there for you to explore whenever you want, and I find that there's a sense of freedom in that. From the deserts and swamps to lush forests and sprawling fields, each region boasts its own distinct atmosphere and monsters to fight. Most of the open world is liminal space, empty zones that are just meant to traverse and not to stay in for too long. Now, you would think that that would seem to detract from the overall experience, but it really doesn't. It never seems like the world is empty despite there not being a lot to do. This nuance plays into the game's effect, never allowing the world to feel hollow. The open world doesn't feel just like a backdrop. It's a living, breathing ecosystem. Creatures roam, day turns to night, and the dynamic weather patterns affect gameplay interactions. This level of detail fosters a sense of immersion, making the world feel alive and responsive. Just like in the real world, not every moment is filled with dramatic events. Liminal space mimics this aspect of reality, adding a layer of authenticity to the game environment. This realism contributes to players' immersion, as they can relate to the ups and downs of living in a breathing world. The overworld isn't bogged down with an endless amount of side activities unless you choose to partake in them. Liminal space provides an opportunity for game developers to enrich the game's world atmosphere and lore. These areas can be used to showcase environmental storytelling, ambient details, and subtle world-building elements that might not fit within the action-packed segments. Players can learn more about the game's universe by exploring these areas at their own pace. And if Final Fantasy XV does anything substantial with its story, it's through its world. It's often the goal of a good video game to form a connection with the narrative and characters with its player. Liminal space gives a chance for players to reflect on their progress, the challenges they overcome, and the characters they encounter. These moments of reflection can enhance the emotional impact of the game's story. Because liminal space often lacks the heightened emotions of intense gameplay moments, it can become the best parts for evoking certain emotions. Think Shadow of the Colossus or the quieter moments of Dark Souls. These spaces might encourage introspection, contemplation, or a sense of wonder as the players appreciate the game's aesthetics and ambience and anticipate the next big event. A game that does this well is rare, and I find that my favorite games have these aspects of quieter introspection. As you traverse through the world, just the vibes it gives off is something truly special, and it's rare to see this in newer games, including the most recent entries in this series. The game marked a significant departure from its predecessors by introducing a real-time action combat system. I felt like this was the natural progression to where the series was going, with simulating what it was like to fight in a fantasy world. The shift from turn-based combat to real-time action was polarizing to most long-term fans. Players found themselves actively controlling Noctis this time in battle. This departure from the traditional turn-based format injected more player agency, which was an attempt to try and capture the appeal of more contemporary video games. The most notable feature in combat that was implemented to distinguish itself from its contemporaries is Noctis' unique ability to warp around the battlefield. This feature allowed for quick traversal and evasion, and also encouraged players to think tactically about positioning. While not as expansive as some games, FF15 boasted a diverse array of weapons, each with its own distinctive playstyles, which is a really nice touch in shaking up the repetition of using only a single weapon. Swords, daggers, spears, and firearms. Players had the freedom to experiment with different combinations, adapting their approach based on the type of enemy they encountered. Despite some challenges in implementation, the concept of the magic system was pretty interesting. Crafting spells from collected resources and using them strategically in battle added a layer of resource gathering to combat. Players could exploit enemy weaknesses and customize their approach based on the magical arsenal at their disposal. The application of summons was another interesting addition into combat, but also faced the same issue of not being implemented the best. One of its greatest strengths was the combat seamlessly integrated into the open world exploration. Enemies roamed the landscape, and the transition from exploration to combat was smooth. Integration heightened immersion and made the game world feel alive and interconnected. The biggest issue with combat was the camera. Most people found it to be less than optimal, especially in confined spaces. The fast-paced nature of battles often led to difficulties in maintaining a clear view of the battlefield. This struggle with the camera hindered the ability to execute precise maneuvers, which leads to moments of frustration. Final Fantasy XV broke new ground in the Final Fantasy series, but still felt like a natural evolution of the format with its real-time combat system. As the series evolves, I think it's important to look back at FF15's combat system for future reference in the series, because it's obvious that it's not going to go back to turn-based anytime soon. I think it's true that the first Final Fantasy game you experience often becomes your favorite, as many people say. I feel like I like this game more than I should. There are so many issues with it, and a lot of the time it can feel unfinished. I come back and think what could have been with this game, with there being so many absent elements and missed story opportunities. But regardless of all of that, when I come back to it, it's just the same as when I first played it. This holds a deeply cherished place in my heart. It was released when I first started to get a good grasp of what kind of video games I liked, and it created a unique attachment to me that no other game has replicated. It sounds corny, but its characters, their struggle, and the journey they undertook felt like a mirror to my own moments of growth. I think one moment stands out most to me in this game. It was when I was in the Sky region on my second or third playthrough. As I walked through it, I suddenly just stopped to walk and look around. It was actually beautiful, and I just felt compelled to halt and simply be present. I just took a moment to pause. I immersed myself in the moment, and the play of light on the shadow, the rustle of leaves, and the vastness of the horizon really just hit me. It's a rarity in gaming, those few moments when the digital world becomes so tangible that you're prompted to genuinely experience the moment. This memory encapsulates the magic of Final Fantasy XV, where the piece of art becomes a vessel for genuine emotion and my own nostalgia.